Hi. How is everybody tonight? I hope well. As the title implies, I'll show you undeniable proof that DAVESPORT is a dark ship and why DAVERY is probably canon. Buckle up because I will game theory the shit out of this franchise. We need to characterize first what a dark ship is. A dark ship is any ship or vessel that uses concealing. I am just joking. A dark ship is any ship or pairing that would be problematic, taboo or illegal in real life. It often involves age gaps and, most importantly, abusive dynamics. DAVESPORT is nothing short of abusive. That is, of course, if you actually play the fucking game and don't rely on the lobotomized version of it that the fandom likes to share around. Some of the reasons why the biblically accurate DAVESPORT is abusive are: Dave is a massive manipulator that pressures Jack into doing things he doesn't want to do. He breaks Jack's privacy by stalking him and even building vents connecting to his house to spy on him, constantly lies and takes advantage of Jack, throwing him under the bus or abandoning him when it benefits him, makes threats against him if he doesn't comply and so on. Notice how all of them come from Dave. This will be important later, keep this in mind. The dynamic these two have is nothing short of abuser ex-victim, therefore is considered a dark ship. I'm not saying it's impossible for the both of them to be in love, don't get me wrong, however I do have to point out that portraying their relationship as obsessed lovey-dovey guy ex-cool dare is straight up dumb. What they have isn't healthy and it isn't like that at all. Stop trying to portray them as such. You'll be acting worse than Henry Miller lobotomizing Dave. Bro, fuck is this? But what about flipside Dave x Jack? That's still a dark ship home slice. Sure, flipside Dave isn't toxic nor manipulative towards Jack. He even changes his mind and goes against Henry when he learns the truth about what he has been doing. However, that doesn't erase the fact that Dave snuffed out Jack's sister. The whole he was coerced thing only affects culpability, but at the end of the day Dee is still dead and Dave still participated in her murder. Sorry, it's still dark ship. Anyway, this section is about it. I'll be using part of the headcanon essay I did on my Tumblr about DAVERY here and part analysis I'm going to do right now about the characters. I'm about to game theory the shit out of Dave. There is one fundamental reason why DAVERY might be canon, and it's related to the way Dave behaves around Jack. That reason is, Dave views Jack as a substitute for Henry. This is proven by the way he behaves around him and by a few cutscenes in the games. In Dsaf 2, in the marionette ending, there's a cutscene where it shows Dave hyping himself up in the Colorado location. In it, he talks to himself about how Jack is the perfect candidate to be his partner in crime after Henry's death, citing the characteristics he has. He mentions that Jack is more fucked up than him, has an indifferent/cold posture and soulless grin. He also mentions his springlock scars. I want you to think right now, what other character in the games has these same characteristics as Dave mentioned? If you answered Henry, you are completely right. But me. You might be saying, Henry doesn't have springlock scars. Your analogy is off. Now my dear viewer, let me explain. When Dave mentions the springlock scars, he is referring to the anger against phasebenders. The only place that apparently has suits with springlocks is phasebenders. Candies has normal suits. I can say that because if you Tarzay the Candies man that comes to shoot up the restaurant, he doesn't get springlocked. He just gets shocked then arrested by the police. Someone who has been springlocked and is currently working at phasebenders most likely won't be very fond of that chain, so they will share Henry's hate for the place. Brilliant. Okay, so Jack is a cheap substitute for Dave's daddy figure, so what? Well, the way he acts towards him is what makes this interesting. He flirts with him, shamelessly so. There are so many instances of the two being gay towards each other that there's goddamn compilations towards it. Why would Dave do that? My friends, I'll tell you why. This is the game theory moment. Because Dave is trying to recreate his entire relationship with Henry with Jack. Okay, hear me out. Remember how I mentioned earlier how Dave is an abusive piece of shit? I have an explanation to why he can be a sweetheart and an asshole at the same time. When you look closely, you realize Dave acts like two people. He has a part of him that acts manipulative, mean, threatening and a part of him that's needy, desperate, emotional. Those are, respectfully, what I will call his Henry side and his William side. I'm naming them this way because they derive from people that already exist. His Henry side is no more than Dave's attempt into imitating Henry, and his William side is no more than him being himself. He uses his Henry side as a shield, a defensive method to keep the dynamic he once had with the true Henry intact with Jack. The thing Dave craves most is stability. If he has to play the Henry role for a while to keep things as they used to be, so be it. That's why he has his abusive moments. The more Jack plays into it and acts like Henry would have acted, the more Dave acts like his William side, lowering his guard and being himself. That's why, for example, he has different reactions to being rejected in Safe 2. If you reject his offering on the first day, he gets angry and threatens you. If you reject his offering on the second day, however, he gets upset, he cries. That's because he had already lowered his guard for you, even a little. Another example is at the end of the evil route in Dsaf 3, where Dave Trap gets incredibly soft with you as you begin getting possessed by Henry and start talking like him. If you compare that Dave with the Dsaf 1 Dave, there's a vast difference in personality. Dsaf 1 Dave is only interested in himself, happily throwing you under the bus just to save his own ass. Dave from the end of Dsaf 3 is affectionate, friendly, he acts more like his flip-side counterpart. This cannot be explained away with the argument but that's his feral side. Of course he is going to act differently. Especially after he got spring-locked in Dsaf 2, because he still acts like Dsaf 1 Dave in the beginning of it. Here's proof.
You chose this, sportsy. This is what you wanted. This is what all of this has amounted to.
This right here also proves what I said earlier. Dave sees that Jack isn't acting like Henry, ergo he gets angry and manipulative because of his Henry side. But I want you to pay attention to the dialogue. Doesn't it remind you of something?
Our diner. Our family. Our dream. This is what you wanted. Henry, You wanted this.
Dave uses Henry's manipulation tactics, outright repeating the phrase "you wanted this" to guilt Jack into submitting. I love this detail. It creates a little parallel between both situations. One willing participant begins to hesitate and question the other's actions, resulting in this other person to manipulate and guilt them into complying, which ends up working out. It strengthens the idea that Jack's relationship with Dave is a parallel to Henry's relationship with him. Okay, enough rambling blah blah blah, let's get back to the main point. The point that I'm trying to get at is that Dave has seeked out Jack to fill in the Henry hole in his heart because he sees Henry in him / sees him as someone who will act exactly like him, keeping the dynamic he once had intact. He acts like Henry when things don't go as expected for the sake of stability, for things to be as they were previously. The only moment he truly relaxes and turns into his normal self is when Jack embraces the Henry role and starts acting like him. With all that being established, we have two possibilities here as to why Dave flirts with Jack, and they all lead to Davery. 1. Dave acts like this because that's how he is, and not because necessarily this was something in their relationship. This by itself would make sense if you ignore the fact that Dave sees Jack as his Henry replacement. It would be weird for him to be flirting with someone he sees as Daddy 2.0, unless, of course, he was already freaky as fuck with Henry to begin with. But Mimi, he doesn't act like Jack is his dad. Wouldn't that break your analogy? Not at all. That's because there's a difference. Dave doesn't see Jack as father figure Henry, he sees him as partner in crime Henry. What? Let me explain. Dave doesn't see Jack as superior in any way, at least in the beginning. That's why he manipulates and is abusive towards him, because Jack isn't really Henry. He has his characteristics, sure, but doesn't act like him in any way besides hating phase benders, being cold and having a nasty grin. The only time Dave sees Jack as a superior is, surprise, the end of Dsaf 3 bad ending, when Jack acts like Henry. We don't have enough dialogue after that point to fully analyze if Dave would have or wouldn't have acted like Jack as his father figure, so we can't exactly affirm nor debunk that statement. The most we see is him being soft. 2. Dave acts like this because something did happen or because of either side of his personality. This just confirms that Davery is canon, period. If it's because of his Henry side, that means at some point Henry flirted with Dave, so he is just imitating this so that things stay the same. If it's because of his William side, same reason I mentioned in possibility 1. Huzzah! That's right liberals, checkmate. Davery is canon. Ha. With this I finish this video, hope you liked this. Also as a side note I find it really funny how antis are entering the Dsaf community and trying to kick out pro-shippers and shit, saying stuff like hook I just know direct doggo would be against this. Go back to the coffin of Andy and Laylee. And like. Completely ignoring all the problematic stuff about Dsaf. Like. Bro you are aware Jack is canonically a pedo, right? In Dsaf 3 Dave asks Jack if he knows the animatronics were possessed while he yiffed them. One of the options you can choose is yeah why do you think I did it? Are you deadass right now? Everyone can say whatever the fuck they want about this, saying oh it's a jokey yada yada, this would still imply Jack likes to fuck kiddens. Stop trying to sanitize the game. If you can't handle problematic people or topics don't join problematic fandoms what the fuck. Might make a video making fun of this, it will be fun. This is it my cagelings, I love you guys.